Welcome back to Real Phonies, where we take a love for movies and television and combine it with very little knowledge about movies and television. I'm your host, Christian. Join me, as always, are my co-host, Joseph.
Hello.
And Jehu.
Oh, way too far away.
Yeah, that cacaw was way in the distance.
Good. That was a cacaw of longing.
Longing, an appropriate segue, because we're finishing up Wandavision, which the whole show was about longing and grief and missing someone. We did not cover the final 3 episodes, if I remember correctly.
That's correct, yeah.
Do we do them in order, or are we just going to lump them up together? What?
I was going to say initial impressions and then maybe each of the 3 phases.
So are we saying the whole show or opinion of the whole show? Or
yeah,
just...
opinion of the whole show, now that you've especially the last 3 episodes, but whole show through the lens of the last 3 episodes.
Cool. I really liked the show. I thought it was very, very good. There's been some controversy on the internet about it not tying up things well, but I think that's okay. I think the show is supposed to be about grief and pain and loss, and sometimes there's not always a happy ending with that, and there's not really a happy ending with this. I didn't love the last couple of episodes, though I thought there were some great lines of dialogue, which is, I kind of felt at the end of it, they wrote like 3 great lines for Vision at the very beginning of this, and then wrote an entire show to get to those 3 lines of dialogue.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it.
I should take this moment right up top before people stop listening to us to apologize to Paul Bettany, because you know what? He was not even like the bottom 5 people in this show. He held it together the whole time. He had good comedic timing, particularly in the Office style episode. You know what? Sorry, Paul Bettany. You've earned my respect, even though you didn't have to.
His Jim looked at camera is pretty good.
You know what's great about that? I was supposed to inform you in this episode that if you talk too much shit about Paul Bettany, Sarah was going to slap you. but apparently you've had a turnaround.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
And giving him the compliment of not in the bottom 5, which is about as good as it gets from you.
Yeah, I had similar feelings to you, Christian. I feel like, there are kind of phases to this show about, in and out of reality. I'm kind of irritated that it just kind of gave up on its central premise, even when it wasn't, I don't know. I guess you could say it wasn't narratively necessary anymore or narratively appropriate anymore, but I don't know. I wanted more like mixed media bullshit instead of just another Marvel movie in the last episode.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt, because, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, well, as long as the barrier's still up, the shit should still be airing, right? Like, what does it look like to people outside of the barrier?
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's generally pretty good. I was just generally disappointed with specifically the ending, how they decided to resolve the conflicts and the villains and we have all that kind of stuff, which we'll get into more of. I didn't really mind all the shit, I think people on the internet are mad about kind of the things that they thought were going to happen that didn't happen. And I don't really mind the fact that they really played with us so much with like all the red herrings about, kind of playing with the expectations and the speculation culture that we are very much a part of this podcast. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. I just don't necessarily feel like it, even ignoring all that, it really stuck the landing based on how good it had been up to that point.
Overall, I thought the show was great. I liked it a lot. Definitely better than Transformers. And that is saying a lot and we'll talk to it in the 3rd phase, but it breaks one of my biggest rules of fiction in general and mysteries in specific. And I'm still giving it a pass because overall, I like the overall show and I like everybody's performances a lot. And as far as giving up on the TV show at the end, I think that's kind of a bummer. I think there should have been some way that the TV show gimmick played into the ending. That should have been somehow how the resolution was reached. So I can't think of that. But then I'm not a writer.
Yep.
Even if it was just like how Wu was staying up to date on what was happening inside of the hex, I think there were ways that you could have at least referenced that it was still going on. I don't know. It just felt like a missed opportunity there.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Well, do we want to get into some of the last couple episodes there specifically?
Yeah, sure.
Episode 7. I've already forgotten the names of these episodes. But it's the Audie's Modern Family Office. I guess what you call, the modern sitcom formatty type one, where Vision is kind of out of the picture and Wanda's keeping him out of the picture. There's a lot of talking to the camera and mockumentary interviews. And it ends with one of the great unexpected bops of this show.
Agatha all along.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really love this episode. It's probably one of my least favorites, but I think Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic in this episode.
Oh, I was going to say, I was predisposed to be against this one because I'm very much a Arrested Development rules, Modern Family drools type person. But, I think they did do good stuff with the confessional type scenes. So I'll let that pass. Overall, I think it was good, but it was probably my least favorite of the sitcom episodes.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, to be fair, they become less and less sitcom-y as they go. But I also like that as this is a sitcom where something's gone horribly wrong. Like it's got all the right beats, I guess. But the content, the tone, and the words that they're saying just don't fit like the visual format in any way. Because she's like having a mental breakdown, and I don't know. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I just like her mental breakdown, like when she's like telling the boys, she's like, I don't have any of the answers at all. None of them. It just sits down, and I think she really kills it. You talk about Paul Bettany being good. I don't think he's bad in this episode. I just think they didn't know what to do with Vision in this episode. Like sidelining him for that little mini mission with, I mean, it's not even a mission, but like teaming him up with Kat Dennings and Darcy. Like I don't know. It felt clunky to me, I guess, this episode. Probably the clunkiest of all of them.
No, I would give that to the last one, but we'll get to that.
That's all I really have for this one.
Yeah, well,
Agatha all along is a bop, though.
I was about to say that the big reveal at the end of this episode is that it was Agatha all along. That she is another witch that has infiltrated into
Westview.
Wanda, Wanda's creation of Westview, and has been pulling a lot of these creepy strings from behind the scenes.
Yeah, this is the part that really. Like, this is the big rule they broke for me, because I have a very strong feeling that a good mystery has to give you all the tools to solve the mystery and then still fool you. And this is the complete opposite of that. No one didn't guess this before the first episode aired,
right,
that chick was going to be Agatha Harkness. But there was no clues to that in the show whatsoever. And that's all. Like, you could, if you didn't read other material or watch YouTube videos about that material, there was no way for you to solve this mystery. You couldn't have figured out that she was Agatha Harkness because that character had never been mentioned. You couldn't have figured out that she was a witch because we really hadn't talked about witches. It was just from out of nowhere with no in-show context. So that part really pissed me off, but still overall good.
Sure.
Yeah. We definitely, we posited it on this podcast, and I think everyone on the internet did. And it's almost like, I don't know, they just knew that we were going to figure it out. And I kind of feel like maybe that was the point of the red herrings. Like,
yeah, 100%. I think it is.
Try to throw us off, but in reality, it was right in front of us. Except, like you said, they weren't really given clues, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think to your point, I don't think they were necessarily making a big deal about her identity specifically, but just, they were giving you clues that she was more, she had more power and more control in this situation than was being led on, which did, prove to be true. But then they also try to throw you off the scent with all the other bullshit that's going on. But I can't imagine anyone watched the show and wasn't suspicious of Catherine Hahn's character.
Her witch cackle is so good.
It is good. Yeah.
Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, the next one is it's called Previously On, which is
damn it.
What?
I also said Previously On.
Yeah.
I had it.
It's a very apt title, both for playing for the sitcom tropes and also what the episode is, which is kind of going through Wanda's life. We find out that Agatha just wants to, I guess, steal all of her power because she seems like such a powerful witch and is trying to figure out where all of her power came from. And so we get to see Wanda's whole life from growing up in fucking, what's that country? Sokovia, and watching American sitcoms to, you know, the destruction of Sokovia with the Stark Industries bomb, and the emergence of her witch powers, her interaction with the Mind Stone. I can't remember. Does anything happen at the end of this episode? Is the whole thing just a flashback?
It simply ends with her calling her the Scarlet Witch. That's like I think the big cliffhanger. Oh, and Vision. We find out about White Vision.
Yeah.
Which most people, by the way, didn't even know that she wasn't called Scarlet Witch before that in show. So I think that was also kind of a weak reveal in that, you know, I know Sarah was like, we didn't already call her that. And I was like, I mean, that's her name, but they've never actually called her that in the shows. He's like, but there's fucking toys with that name on. It's like, that is a good point.
It's also funny on that note, you know, they don't really expound on what Scarlet Witch means in that episode. And they kind of give it context in the final episode, but still not very much about like what the Scarlet Witch is or why it matters. And to your point about like creating a good mystery and having a resolution, I feel like there absolutely should have been way more seeds planted about this idea that there is a prophesied powerful chaos magic entity that is foretold in some book in hell. Not necessarily all those specific details, but just like that there would be pieces of that information like left in so that when you get to the Scarlet Witch reveal, it's like, oh shit, that's cool. I mean, you'd probably figure it out because the show's not very subtle, but I'd at least appreciate that there would be something, I don't know, to make you're the Scarlet Witch reveal mean something.
Right. I almost think the way they should have handled it was Catherine Hahn should have revealed that she was the Scarlet Witch, and then Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch by defeating her or something. At least that's something that could have been like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming because, you know, we all already knew she's the fucking Scarlet Witch. That's the character's name.
I think one issue that this show has is that it has, and it's not wrong about this, but there's too much expectation that you're going to keep watching this character. Because like, I think the Scarlet Witch thing is it just complete setup for whatever the plot of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is.
Right.
Like, yes, it's a reward, I guess, for fans or like wanted her to be called that in the movies. But I also think that you cram that all in the last 5 minutes of the second to last episode. And obviously the cliffhanger kind of leads into this that I don't know. It also made me kind of think Doctor Strange is an idiot. Like he's interacted with this woman and not known that this was her abilities.
Right.
I didn't love this episode either. I don't like the exposition episodes. I don't like here's everything you missed. But two things I did enjoy. Of course, the what is grief but love persevering line. That's a really, really well written line. But number two, it made me think, is the Avengers really that good? Like, is he actually good at making these things? Because his whole shtick, right? Like I said this a couple weeks ago, he told Elizabeth Olsen she'll never wear the helmet, it'll never be in live action. And this whole show gave her that.
Right.
But then the other thing was like, I started thinking about how, okay, here are people who have a better understanding of Wanda than he does. He didn't really get it. And not that that's a problem, but they kind of rebuttal it a little bit in this show. But that's kind of what the Russo brothers did with Captain America, too. Like, Joss Whedon wrote Captain America to be an idiot.
Yep. Cap's
not stupid. He's simple. And simple is not stupid. Simple is just there's right, there's wrong, there's good, there's bad.
It's just...
Right, he's naive.
Yes. It's ironic to me that for somebody who I think was, you know, and still I think would be, you know, canonically in the order of television, considered to be like a pioneer of television, as what we're talking about, his kind of big budget movies, and I still really like the Avengers, and I understand Avengers Age of Ultron has its problems and is not that bad, but it's amazing to me for a guy who, you know, is kind of a pioneer and is so like known as being like, you know, or at least was at some point known as kind of like a nerd hero, really is desperate to underestimate his audience.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I remember being so mad about the line in Age of Ultron, where they're trying to describe the powers of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and fucking what's her face from How I Met Your Mother just has one off line like, he's fast and she's weird. I was like, bitch, like, we've watched, I don't know, at least 6 of these movies now. Like, we fucking get it. You don't have to water it down for us.
And also, she's speaking to Cap, at that point, who's already dealt with 3 Infinity Gems at this point.
Yeah.
He can handle some high concepts.
Yeah. So, like, 100% with you, Christian. I think it's more jarring the farther away we get from it. How, even though, it was the jumping off point for all this shit, the original Avengers movie, how many missed opportunities, I think, were left on the table.
I'll say this also about it. I rewatched the first third of the Marvel movies, like fairly recently. And, I still love the experience of watching that movie in the theaters. I still think it's a good movie, still better than Transformers, but it's the most cringy of all the Marvel movies. There's so many lines that are just like, did an adult write that? That's really bad, but, still fun to watch.
Yeah. I feel bad almost because I've championed that movie so much. But this show and how it handles Wanda, and even, getting her to the concept of Scarlet Witch and tying that to her costume and all that, I don't know. It really just brought to my attention that I'm not sure that guy gets it, or at least he doesn't get the audience who is watching it,
right.
Which, Joseph, I think is more to your point.
Which, I mean, is not a problem anymore because I don't think he's even making any movies for a while.
Right.
So you wanted to get into the last episode?
Sounds good.
This is the big climax one. We get all of the fights. Witch on witch fight, robot on robot fight, random tertiary character on tertiary fights.
Right.
And
the ship of Theseus.
And the ship of Theseus.
Before we get into this, I want to ask one thing, because there's something I was super unclear on, and I meant to go back and rewatch this stuff. So she did not steal Vision's body, even though it had shown in earlier episodes she stole Vision's body, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. So, because that was confusing as hell.
Yeah.
And, we get the white Vision built from Vision's stray parts, and that's, So yeah. Okay. Got it.
I like that he has like a makeup snarl. Do you guys notice that?
Yeah. What is up with that? Why does that Vision talk differently?
And so you can see that he's evil, but I don't know. It cracked me up.
Also, why is Hayward arrested? I haven't quite figured out what he did that was illegal. Because it seems like if there was a interdimensional thing going on happening to a couple of thousand of U.S. citizens, that seems like something SWORD should be monitoring.
Right, and it seems like something they should have taken some like stiff means to resolve.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is he arrested simply because he rebuilt Vision? Like, I don't really understand what he does. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good guy. I just want to know what law he broke.
Maybe he shot at imaginary kids. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a real asshole, but he seems like he did exactly what he was employed to do.
Correct. I was thought at the beginning, this was going to be the trope that really irritated you, because one of the things that irritated me about this episode is when you have your favorite trope of a team fights the like anti version of that team. You don't win by pitting the like people against the like people.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Like, obviously Wanda would have absolutely no problem just deconstructing White Vision at will if she wanted to. And I feel like Agatha's like primary power, she's substantially less powerful than Scarlet Witch on like the magic bit, but her whole thing is she can absorb magic, which is great. But how does she do with punches?
Right. I'm okay with that, because what it gave us was the best Superman fight in any movie for like 3 decades. Like, Vision versus Vision was a great Superman fight and has the resolution that a Superman slugfest should, that at the end of it, he still wins with his brains.
And they also don't forget the fact that he can phase through shit, which they often do when it's convenient to the plot.
That's true. That's true.
I just felt too Marvel movie in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I was disappointed about it, really. Like, I really enjoyed, Jay, here to your original question about it being in thirds. I really, really loved the sitcom, like the straight sitcom bit of the first couple of episodes. And I know I'm in the minority there, but those first 3 episodes are great in my opinion. And I really did like the balanced ones too. But these last couple were it was a 50-minute Marvel movie. I guess you'd even do the one before it. It's an hour and a half Marvel movie.
Right.
I liked when it was different. So when it was kind of samey, it felt disappointing. Though I really enjoyed the Vision fight. I thought that was kind of cheesy but fun.
Is there anything else we want to talk about the episodes themselves before we get
the only thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know if you guys even caught this, but Zack Snyder's got to be pissed that someone else stole an image from The Dark Knight Returns. The scene where Wanda and Agatha are fighting in the sky, and she's like decomposed on the sort of purplish background, looked just like the Superman image during the nuclear war in Dark Knight Returns. So Zack Snyder, I'm sure, is pissed.
I am. You brought up another thing that I am slightly irritated about that episode is, I get we didn't have a lot of time after we established that Agatha was the villain, but we really only established one rule of magic. Right. And then that was the only rule of magic that was used as the prestige in the fight with the other witch, which I was like, okay.
And again, I'm not a writer, so I don't know how they could have done this, but she should have defeated her with a rule of a sitcom.
See, that would have been fun.
That would have been good.
Also, she can alter reality, so why not?
Right. Also, one other thing, and this is sort of the same point I had earlier, but I still feel like it's different enough to mention. It drives me nuts that Pietro was just nothing.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, let's get into that. So I have a list of I have Easter eggs, red herrings, and unresolved threads.
I just want to point on record, I fucking loved it.
Well, let's get into the red herrings. Let's talk about Pietro, who was revealed to be Ralph Boner,
which is a great name.
Because boners are hilarious.
Right.
Which presumptively means that he was the Ralph that Agnes had been talking about the whole time as her, adult husband,
right?
Sitcom husband. But yeah, I think for a lot of people, they were expecting some kind of acknowledgement of this multiverse thing, and it didn't happen.
Well, okay, here's the reason why it annoys me. It doesn't actually annoy me that he was just nobody. It's almost like they tried to have their cake and eat it too. With that last one, they were sort of like, okay, well, we're going to do a mystery here, but we're not going to really present you with the facts in that. We're just going to know that you're going to already be researching this shit and theorizing. And, we don't have to do that work because you'll have already done it before I get there. But on this one, they specifically used something from other source material to misdirect.
Right.
And then the ending was like, ha, you're stupid for thinking that was going to lead to something.
And the irony of that to me is I definitely think that, part of this show and the end of this show is going to imply kind of this multiverse concept.
Right.
And so to leave it as like an intentional, like, fuck you punchline instead of just like open-ended where like you've laid the groundwork for possibility, but you're not actually acknowledging anything, I think is also just dumb and wasteful.
Well, and if it is, if he, is not tied to the previous character he had played, which is the same character, all that bullshit, that means this was just a joke about recasts, which they don't really have a high ground to stand on. They have recast multiple important characters in these movies.
Yeah.
So hear me out. Let me pitch why I think it's good.
Okay.
So I didn't say this earlier because I was waiting for this moment to come up. What if the last episode is a sitcom, but it's the 2010 sitcom, which is Marvel movies? What if episode 9 is a reflection on Marvel movies as a whole? That's why it's structured as one. That's why there's a lot of similar beats. This one being from Iron Man 3 with Trevor. There's a lot of like odes to things that have come prior. Vision versus Visions, like Cap versus Cap in Avengers Endgame. We don't have like serial sitcoms anymore. So what do families watch together? Families watch Marvel movies together. So I think that this episode, while I didn't enjoy it, is a sitcom in that it's this long-standing chain of Marvel movies wrapped up into one movie. There's references to Doctor Strange. There's references to other things, MCU things that we've seen, like the Darkhold, which is in Runaways and in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's also referencing, kind of the X-Men movies that have come before by that character. But to me, I think it's intentionally a callback to the Trevor moment in Iron Man 3, as is the rest of this whole episode has callbacks to other MCU moments, because it's saying that the MCU is the modern sitcom.
Well, I want to start by saying I think what you just said has a lot of good points, and I think there is merit to those arguments. But I also want to acknowledge that this is the most desperate Reddit forum thread you've ever proposed on this fucking podcast.
I'm okay with that. A lot of people made and lost a lot of money on Reddit recently, so obviously some important shit happens there.
To me, I don't think the creators of this are that smart. I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong in time, but like many great fictional properties, we as the fans, and by we I mean you, have ascribed, I think, a greater meaning that imbues a more satisfying picture than what actually happened.
In my defense, there's a lot of shit that leans to it. I know.
I think you make a compelling point. I think a lot of it is coincidental, just because that's how you make a Marvel movie. But I love it because I like how it changes the perspective of that episode.
Yeah, it's still not a great episode comparatively, but
I'm pretty on board with your theory, though. I think mostly because you just segued it off mine, so I feel like I'm part of it.
What are some of your other red herring Easter egg shit you have to talk about there?
No Nightmare.
No Nightmare. Yeah.
No Mephisto. Which
Nope.
I will say that was one of the things I think was really disappointing, is that when we got Agatha all along, that it actually was Agatha all along.
Yeah.
But on that note, the delivery guy drove me crazy because his thing said Presto very prominently everywhere, which is so close to Fisto.
Right.
That I was sure, like everybody on the fucking internet. Yeah, the fake Pietro, and Dottie was also just a red herring. She was not the key to everything in Westview, it turns out.
Isn't Dottie the name of another witch character?
If it is, I can't think of it.
As far as the Easter eggs, I mean, a lot of them aren't like, I don't know a lot of the deep comic stuff. A lot of them are, as far as Easter eggs, are kind of references to other Marvel movies and things that we've seen. There's like a lot of Age of Ultron and previous Marvel stuff in like the previously on episode.
Right.
There's that fun Wizard of Oz reference in the final fight against Agatha with her boots.
That was good.
Yeah, one thing I don't know a lot about, which they've definitely, I don't know, hinged a lot of stuff on, is the Darkhold. I was hoping that Hurt might provide a little context to what the Darkhold is.
Actually, you know what? I don't really know a lot about the Darkhold.
Shit, this is what we need Ian. I'm hoping that he would also know, because he probably read this shit.
The Darkhold is a book written by Chthon, I think is how you say it, Chthon. Has a bunch of evil shit in it. It has ties to like Blade and was it Werewolf by Night and a bunch of other of that fucking weird shit. Also, there was a book missing in Doctor Strange in the Ancient Ones library, and a lot of people think it was this is the book that was missing, the Darkhold.
And then, as far as unresolved threads that we have still hanging out there, what happens to White Vision now that he's been freed?
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the biggest dangler of all is what goes down with him. He, allegedly has the memories of the original Vision, but no real connection to them. So, I mean, I can't see, him and Wanda not interacting at some point and it not being kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they left that one so open-ended. If he is the real Vision or whatever the fuck he says at the end of that, why would he not go to Wanda?
I mean, excellent point. Do we think he's going to be... Oh, good.
Well, I mean, in comics, when they do the White Vision, the Vision has all of Vision's original memories. He just doesn't have any emotions to connect to them. So, that it ends up in their split, and then her going nuts for like the second or third time.
Other dangling threads. We still don't know anything about the aerospace engineer. That could be a red herring also, if you wanted to categorize it as that, but it's still out there.
Right.
Jimmy Woo's witness, the whole fucking basis of the whole Finding Westview. Who was it?
Yeah, right.
A lot of people think it could be old Ralph Boner, but again, I think they're both red herrings. I think they were just shit for us to go with.
Look, Ralph Boner's a pretty good option because then you still can go back and fix it so that it is a multiverse thing.
Yeah, there is
later.
a rumor. There is a big internet theory talking about fucking Reddit theories that he actually is from the X-Men universe and really is fucking Quicksilver, but he's in the witness protection program, so no one knows what he is.
Okay, I can get more on board with that, and the Boner thing is actually funnier if it's a chosen name as opposed to let's just laugh at this guy's silly name.
Well, and I mean, it also could be something like, if we're going to introduce a multiverse, the multiverse has to either be a threat or have a threat put to it. So, I mean, we could conceivably introduce the concept that X-Men universe has been destroyed. He's the last survivor, and he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah. I thought you said you weren't a writer, Hurt.
Right.
We got Monica seemingly being recruited for Sword.
Well, she was a part of Sword. They kind of kicked her out.
Well, whatever.
She got recruited by
whatever Fury's doing these days.
The Skrulls, it looks like.
Yeah. We assumed it was Sword, but it turns out I guess it's probably something else. I don't know.
I'm assuming she'll be a big player in Secret Invasion.
That's what I felt too. I couldn't tell if that was leading into Captain Marvel 2 or Secret Invasion. We know she's getting in Captain Marvel 2, but I feel like that was more so a Secret Invasion thing, personally.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I think is probably, something they will be exploring in later things is what happens to the kids. I think controversially to a lot of people, Wanda is not with her children when she dissolves her universe, her, invented universe. And then, so we don't actually see them get deconstructed the way that we see Vision get deconstructed.
I wouldn't want to.
I mean, we wouldn't want to, but it's the whole mom thing. Doesn't matter. And then, later when we get the second post-credit scene of episode 9 of her astral whatever studying the Darkhold, we seemingly hear a voice that might say like, "Mom, help," or "Help, Mom," something along those lines.
Right.
So is it, the I guess, again, exploring this multiverse thing that we're definitely getting into in very near movies. Are these kids still in existence somewhere, or are they in like a different timeline? What's going on here?
Well, first of all, the main thing I want to know from that scene is that the same cabin that Edward Norton Hulk goes to,
right,
to become Mark
Ruffalo? It fucking looks like it, right?
Yeah.
Goes back to my theory that the last episode is an ode to previous Marvel movies. So thank you.
No problem.
I'm glad we didn't watch the kids disappear. I'm not sure why that's a complaint.
I don't think people necessarily wanted to watch the kids get dissolved. I just think some people thought it was kind of fucked up that, after all this fight for her kids, that she was okay with like, I can't watch, so I'm just gonna let him get erased from existence somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe. I don't feel that, but cool.
I mean, I don't know whether she knows it or not, but I definitely think the kids are out there somewhere still. That's how it played out in comics, and that she thought that the kids were never real and they had been dissolved, and then it turns out they had somehow aged to be teenagers and were functioning fine without her. So I don't know if that's exactly how it'll play out with this, but yeah, it's pretty dark to kill children. I think they'll find a way to bring them back.
Agreed.
I suspect you're probably right.
The dissolving bit was cool because that's what people, when in House of M, that's what they looked like when they got.
All right, on. Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, I like this show. I thought it's better than Transformers. I am excited we had new Marvel content. I'm even more excited we get more in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, very soon. I do say before we get off this and put it to bed, I want to get into some fucking deeper issues here.
Okay.
Shouldn't Wanda like super be in prison? Or I guess rather, shouldn't Wanda super be in super prison?
It is kind of shitty that she's just like, sorry, and then flies away.
Right, yeah. Sorry, guys. I got this hoodie on now. I'm going.
She did more wrong than Hayward.
Yeah.
Way more.
Did some magic shit to switch that around. Oh, no, you guys are going to arrest me. You're going to arrest him. Like, because it doesn't make any sense for them to arrest him and not her.
Well, I mean, like, you know, I guess the argument is they couldn't. She left. She kind of escaped intentionally. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, she literally held a whole town hostage for an indeterminate amount of time. You know, we implied at least one of them has a relative that is dependent on them for care that they have not been able to care for because they've been playing in a sitcom that they didn't want to play in. You know, in the last episode, they talk about how they feel her pain and they see her dreams, again, entirely without their consent. And also, you know, for a lot of this series, you know, like people in the town aren't a part of the story. And we don't really know like what happened in the, particularly that whole several episode stretch where there are no children in the town. And so I know like we collectively just looked at Purple Man and fucking Jessica Jones when he made those kids go and pee in a closet and said, hey, that's fucked up. But like, what do you think was happening to the kids in this town?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. I just like, here's my issue with it. It's not even that she didn't get arrested, that she escaped justice, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's more that at some point in the not too distant future, I feel like they're going to come back and try and make Wanda a hero again, where she's fighting for the good guys. And like, I think a strong case can be made. You know, I think most people would agree, having watched the show, like, oh yeah, she's dealing with grief. A lot of the power is not necessarily within her control. You know, she didn't until a certain point really want to be kidnapping and torturing these people. But she did. And the fact that I suspect in none of these films are they going to actually make her like answer for the consequences of her actions, intentional or not, is really fucked up.
Well, I can tell you from comics, what you're talking about is core to her character. She's done so many fucked up shits, and then she just comes back and is a hero after. So, I mean, they're at least staying true to the source material. I feel like as a franchise for little children's and to what a lot of people consider to be like modern replacements in a secular society for like the moral teachings of religion. We're doling out some fucked up lessons here. Like, oh, well, if you're feeling bad and you hurt people, it's okay. Like, it's not your fault. You don't have to do anything about it. Yeah, you. Oh yeah, it's super fucked up. I really hate that. That really, really bothered me. The other thing that bothered me, and I got into a huge argument with a coworker years ago whenever fucking Civil War came out about like, you know, the Sokovia Accords and shit. And, you know, the whole premise of these stories is kind of, you know, they're fictional characters, but they're supposed to be like the moral authority. So even though they have these great powers, they always make the best decisions, or, you know, at least most of the time, we are, as the audience, are led to want them to be the ones in charge of making their own decisions. That's kind of, I feel, very much where like Civil War and the rest of the fucking series is leading us. But in the last episode of WandaVision, 2 imaginary children take down a heavily armed, I don't know, battalion of fucking military agents. Right.
Like maybe we need to change something about this.
maybe
this is not really a system that's working out great.
Right.
So I just have to ask then, does that make you Team Iron Man or Team Captain America?
I mean, I guess it makes me Team Iron Man.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, 100%.
I would definitely still be his Team Captain America's Cap's cooler.
I mean, Cap is cool, but see, that's the fucking problem I'm getting to. Is that again, each one of these things we're creating stories, we're creating, I don't know, a legitimate conflict over legitimate ideologies in these movies, and then and TV shows, and then at the end of the movie, at the end of several of them, we're implying by whoever wins, which one had the actual moral authority. And I do feel like the implication of Civil War is that Cap is right, but I don't know, we get into weird shit here as far as I don't know what lessons are we trying to pass off when certain people win and certain people lose.
I feel like you're digging into stuff here that you could lay on most action movies. Have you ever heard the theory that Lethal Weapon 2 through 4 are dream sequences because those dudes definitely had to go to jail for life for the shit they did in Lethal Weapon 1?
Yeah.
I subscribe to that. The thing is with this, I know we're supposed to take it seriously and stuff, particularly if we're going to be three dudes talking about it on a podcast, but in general, you got to let them off the hook at the end of the movie so another movie can be made.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jehu. I do think there's one kind of counterpoint to that, which is like in Jurassic Park, the concept of whether you can and should is built into the plot itself.
Right.
So, in Jurassic Park, it's a clusterfuck because they never stop to ask themselves, just because we can doesn't mean we should. And the same thing is kind of true in almost every Marvel movie since Civil War, as there's been this constant theme of just, even in Endgame, it was a big debate of, okay, just because we can go get the stones, should we? Right. The Ancient One, and Hulk have this debate about the consequences. So I agree that it is just a dumb superhero movie. That's what it is. But it itself is asking the question.
That's true.
I don't feel like WandaVision asked me any questions.
Obviously it did, because you just had this
that's true.
This conversation about how it affected your soul.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like it addressed these things, and I feel like it needs to.
Right. Well, I think it still could be with Wanda. We may be playing towards Wanda being, her arc. I'm not saying at the end of it she won't end up being back to a hero, but we may not have seen the end of her being a sort of more darker villainous character.
Yeah,
I actually think that's exactly where we're going.
Fair enough. We shall see in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange. I don't even know the order of release, so it's hard to say, because I feel like Doctor Strange 2 would be more so him not going against Wanda, but trying to help Wanda. And
right.
God, I hate to say Spider-Man 3 is just more consequences of her actions, because there's been a lot of fucking consequences to Wanda's actions.
Right.
But it kind of feels like that may be where we're going, is that there's this whole other set of things like, okay, you were sad, but you did some bad shit, and now we have to make it right. But God, that's the plot point that drives Civil War is you were trying to do something good, but shit went bad. And
right.
Anyway, that's WandaVision, guys. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you think that Wanda should go to super prison.
I also, actually, one more thought on this. Do you think that they left Agatha alive because they're going to use her in further, WandaVision stuff, or if they left her alive because they're going to do a Thunderbolts movie? Because I definitely think it's the second.
God, she would be so great on the Thunderbolts.
Because, really one of the problems they have with doing Thunderbolts is that they've killed off most of their villains. But so now they've started to think, well, how can we leave this one alive so we can maybe do that? I think we're going towards that.
That's a fun idea. I hope so. I definitely think she's coming back, though.
I both like the general concept and the prospect of more Catherine Hahn and shit.
Right.
Yep. Agreed.
Excellent. Well, cool. WandaVision, guys. Done. I knew it was going to take a while.
You made it take a while.
I did. I had a lot of things I wanted to say.
That.
Yeah, it is. You're not wrong.
That's how you should introduce that concept from now on. This is going to take a long time because I have a lot to say about it.
Anyway, what have we been watching this past week, guys?
So the thing that I want to talk about, I can't yet. I really want to wait till I'm done with it before I talk about it, which will be this week. So next week, good shit. Maybe, probably not. The only thing I want to talk about, which is kind of a news thing that we didn't talk about last week, was we briefly talked about the Avatar Studios and Paramount Plus and all the shit they did. But a part of that was they announced a Rugrats reboot, like a CGI reboot with the original writing staff and the original voice actors all coming back. So I watched the trailer for it, and it made me very uncomfortable physically. And so I thought to myself, what about this makes me feel so weird? So I decided I'd watch more 90s cartoons and to see if it elicited the same emotion. And I think I figured it out. I think I diagnosed the problem by watching Rocket Power. You're probably a little too old for Rocket Power. Joseph, did you watch Rocket Power?
I don't know what you're about to get into, but I stopped watching Rocket Power because the animation style really bothered me.
Okay, so for some reason, the cartoons in the 90s, the only word I could think to describe it is grungy or grimy.
Right.
There was just a general level of dirt, they were the pig pen of cartoons.
Right.
And it was like all of them were that way. And I'm not entirely sure why, but the only reason why what really pushed me over the edge for this trailer was I don't need to see that same grime in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Right.
That made it significantly worse and much grosser. Like the Rugrats house by itself already kind of looked like there was just a general essence of slime everywhere.
Right.
But seeing it on 3-dimensional shag carpet with CG animated babies, yeah, I mean, it gave me stomach cramps. That's it.
I don't remember. I want to say it was a Maya Angelou quote, but I hope I don't fuck that up.
God, I don't even know what it is, but the fact that you're connecting Rugrats to a Maya Angelou.
I think it's a Maya Angelou quote, is that people won't remember what you say, people won't remember what you do, people will only remember the way that you made them feel. I don't remember a single fucking second of Rugrats. The only thing that I remember deep in my gut, in my heart of hearts, is that I fucking hate Tommy Pickles, and I don't know why. I don't have any specific rationale.
You're anti-Semitic.
Oh Jesus Christ! Oh yeah. I just know that I hate Tommy Pickles, and so I can't endorse anything about the Rugrats.
Main thing I remember about Rugrats is just that is the trailer for the first movie, when there's a part in about the first third of it where it's just a close up on one of their face just saying "poopy," and kids would go nuts for that shit. So I mean, they knew their audience. That's what I remember about Rugrats. I actually, the part that I'm most interested in is the grimy aspect of 90s cartoons. What do you mean, in the content or in the overall look?
I mean, kind of both, but mostly in the look. There was just this Rocco's Modern Life. Who wants to live in the world that Rocco lives in?
Right. Yeah. I can get on board with that. Well, particularly those Nicktoons had that sort of. Yeah, it was kind of upsetting. It was kind of like It was kind of like Mad Magazine before you were old enough for it.
Yeah.
You know how you encountered Mad Magazine at too young of an age? It was kind of dangerous. It's kind of that. I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't really watch anything this week. I learned a new cuss word from Pokemon
a child?
Go.
Oh,
no,
cool.
From Pokemon Go. From a children's game.
Cool.
Shortest way I can get to this. I'm very I'm very meticulous about how I organize my Pokemon. Since they're in rows of 3, I always either keep 3 or divisible of 3. But when if I get a new Pokemon and don't have 2 more, I keep spares down at the bottom that I just named ZZ, and then I'll change them to a name right after this name to keep the 3 line going. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I know this sounds like I was potty trained at gunpoint, but I wasn't.
No, I get you. I'm with you.
So anyways, I evolved the character, and I forget the character's name, but the first 4 letters of it was Quil. So I named the spacers Quim, and that's a cuss word.
Huh.
Did you know that Quim is a cuss word?
I did not.
It's a derogatory term for vagina or a woman. I didn't know that, and I learned that from Pokemon Go.
All right.
Wouldn't let me name it. Yeah, Quim. That's what you're going to get now that I've turned against shows.
Fabulous. I was just talking about this the other day, but like the weird neurotic shit that I assume that everybody comes up with, but I know I come up with when I create my own habit without societal influence, like nobody else knows that I do it. Is fun. I don't realize how bonkers it is until somebody else comes in and is like, "Why do you do it this way?" It's like I don't know. I have to.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, obviously, that's
let me ask you this. I ask you both of this. A series of books on the shelf, say Harry Potter, the 7 Harry Potter books. How would they go from right to left or left to right?
Right to left.
Well, hang on.
Order.
Yeah, like 1 to 7, left to right.
No, yeah, left to right. Yeah, the same way.
I knew a dude who did right to left reverse order, because if you took them all out and turned them around, that's how you'd read them. Now that's a serial killer.
Oh man. That's pretty fabulous.
I just want to take a stab in the dark here and see if I can guess the Pokemon. Did you evolve a Cyndaquil into a Quilava?
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
I think that is it. Yeah.
This is quality content, guys, for somebody.
I've started playing Pokemon with my 5-year-old, so there's been a lot of it for me lately.
Awesome. Well, the only thing I wanted to talk about is something that I've talked about on the show a lot, and I will never stop talking about, which is Critical Role.
God, this week's was stressful.
Which has been on, I think, a real roll lately. It was a real fun culmination to see one of the characters, one of our main characters, player characters in the show, Caleb. One of his like central tenets of his personality was that he was involved in this organization of very powerful people, a very powerful person that commanded a bunch of very powerful people. He escaped and has been living in hiding ever since. And much of his personality has been being afraid that if he was too careless and accidentally revealed himself or exposed himself too much, that this person and all of the people who that person has power over will come and crush him and torture him and every person that he's ever met. Which, again, has been like, it's a central part of his personality, which we didn't learn until like kind of later as we, get the backstories of these characters. And then even as we went on further than that, we as the audience, and I think all the players involved, were kind of like, oh, well, it hasn't happened yet. We seem to be doing a good job. That maybe they're not that interested anymore.
But we were wrong. To
see that culminate in a single episode of all of that character's fears coming to reality was pretty fabulous. I mean, it was super stressful I think as the players, but definitely also as a viewer. But I think one of the things that made it really interesting, and I mean, is one of the good things about Critical Role that they do really well, is I think for D&D, there's it's kind of a derogatory term for kind of this unrooted like character party called murder hobos, where you just hop around from town to town. You solve problems most of the time by murdering people. Sometimes they're good guys, maybe they're not. Sometimes they're just inconvenient people. And then you hop to the next town, and there's not really any consequences. Like maybe there are police, but also maybe there aren't. You're murder hobos. And so one of the things that Critical Role has done really well to kind of enrich this world and make it feel more, I don't know, more grounded, more rooted in something, is they've introduced a lot of these non-playable characters that, are the invention of Matt, the dungeon master, that are like family members and all these kind of stuff. And we spent a lot of time with these characters, and the players have spent a lot of time with these characters, and they're like, functionally as real of people and as characters as our player characters at this point, and are very attached to them. And to see them and that relationship weaponized against them as kind of the direct consequence of kind of the murder hobo mentality that they made a very bold, irrational choice, and it had dramatic consequences, was fabulous. Everything about it was great. Yeah, I know it's super imposing to start on Critical Role for anybody who's listened to this and is like, holy shit, each one's 4 hours long. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it really is great. It's great storytelling.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This week's was one of the most stressful, I think, in a long time.
Agreed.
I did want to ask you a question. I feel like at this point, it's inevitable that Lucien will succeed. I feel like there is almost no time. I don't know, but I'm curious to hear if you think this. I think Matt is basically setting up a timeline to where the Lucien and the Sum Novum or whatever is the end game of this campaign, and is essentially what the Chroma Conclave was to the first campaign.
As in like the thing before the big thing?
Well, as in the big, 40 plus episode, all leading to this. Because I mean, Lucien was from the very beginning. I don't think this is quite it. I think there's a little bit more. I think a fair part of it is going to be about like the origin of Dunamancy and where it came from, which may come out of this. I don't know. I definitely think Matt is setting up a direct conflict of you can go do the Lucian thing or you can save Caduceus' family, which we'll see how that goes, because Taliesin does not seem overly concerned about it, and I feel like he should be. He definitely seems like he thinks his shit is done.
Yeah.
And as does Veth.
Yeah, 100%. I know. We might be getting another character switch. We'll see what happens.
I hope Sam does it. I hope Sam does it in every fucking campaign at this point.
I agree. It's fabulous. But yeah, Critical Role. Everybody should do it. It's fabulous. Next week, oh shit, this week's fucking Justice League, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think, well, fuck, is it?
No, it comes out like what day does it come out?
I think it's a week from tomorrow.
I think it's the 14th.
Yeah, so
that's Sunday.
Oh shit. We'll find out. We'll verify. Yeah. But if it is, we got to do that.
We have to do it.
Cut.
Well, yeah. For those of you who've been waiting for us to do the Snyder Cut, I guess this is what you wanted.
It may be next week, but Zack Snyder never stopped to think about if he should do something.
Yeah, 100%, right? Yeah, let's get into that. Shit. Anyway, that's the podcast for the week. Thank you guys for listening. Again, if you want to tell us what you thought about WandaVision, please let us know. Reach us at realphonies@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at realphonies, and on Instagram at real_phonies. Thanks to Zach Evans for art and Brian Velasquez for our theme. We'll see you guys later.
Later.